Shen, Garrett raises a really interesting point that the president, by publicly now saying what's in the Mueller report, that it's just not true, and what McGahn said is not true, that does actually give weight to the need for a hearing with Don McGahn where he's under oath to see if the president is now lying.
Absolutely. I mean, as in so many things, the president is his own worst enemy, creating his own foe himself. And I think it's such an interesting point being made about the sort of mechanics of impeachment, so different than a criminal trial where you have extremely tightly controlled narrowing of evidence to an even narrower function for the jury to decide. Impeachment, the grand jury analogy is a good one. It starts out very broad and ends up being broader. And in many ways, these hearings that the House is involved in now, as they go forward, even through the litigation over who can testify, who can't, prepares the country for the possibility of impeachment. It airs out the issues ahead of time, and that allows the politicians ultimately to make their political decision based on the evidence.
Just quickly, so, I mean, McGahn is a private citizen. We don't know where his head is at, what he would want to do. But if now the president is publicly saying he's a liar, there's an argument to be made, maybe he would want to actually testify. Is there, just because the president is saying it's executive privilege, could he just go and testify? I mean, is there anything actually stopping him just because the president is saying don't do this?
I don't think there really is. I mean, the way it will play out legally is they'll have to go to court. They'll seek to quash the subpoena, ask for a judge to weigh in on that. And I don't think McGahn's going to dash ahead of that, and I don't think Congress will either. But as far as the legal analysis goes, I think they have a very weak case. I don't really see how they can put the genie back in the bottle on this subject.
Garrett, I mean, if things continue on this way, it does seem like the only option available to House Democrats may be looking at impeachment proceedings, although Speaker Pelosi has made it clear that's not a viable option to her unless there's bipartisan support for it, which at this point, there's certainly no sign of that.
Yeah, but I think that undersells what the evolution of this process could be. And I think, unfortunately, Democrats shouldn't give the Republican Party a bad faith veto where if Republicans refuse to go along with punishing or even investigating presidential high crimes and misdemeanors, then that's really undermining Congress's role as a co-equal branch of government. And really, you know, if you look back to, I think Democrats sort of look back to the Whitewater comparison and see how poorly that went for the Republicans. But a much better analogy, I think, would be the Watergate hearings, where those early hearings, as Shan's saying, really helped set the process. They helped air some of the challenges and allegations against Richard Nixon, and really dramatically moved public opinion in the country, even with the Republicans.
Yeah, Shan, I mean, I talked to a Republican congresswoman, a Democratic congresswoman last night, who was saying essentially that what Garrett is saying, that there's something about the power of television to actually see Don McGahn or somebody else testifying under oath on television, hearing it from him. Viewers are able to judge his, his trustworthiness or not, rather than the likelihood that they read 448 pages in a Mueller report.
Absolutely. And I think that's where the political aspect comes, because we all talk about how impeachment is purely political. It's not a court proceeding. This is how the politics will work. If the country can see what's happening and the politicians begin to get the feedback, I think, to Garrett's point, that's how the process can move forward. And I think the Watergate analogy is a very good one.
Shen Wu, thank you. Garrett Graff, thank you always. Appreciate it.